कहते हैं कि शॉर्ट कंटेंट दिमाग के लिए स्मोकिंग की तरह होता है, उसी पर्सपेक्टिव से लॉन्ग कंटेंट दिमाग के लिए एक ब्रेन वर्कआउट होता है. वेलकम टू TRS क्लास. There is a particular type of meditation called Kriya Yoga, spoken about in multiple books, spoken about very commonly on the internet as well. I have not got my initiation in Kriya Yoga, but it used to be the path I had chosen once upon a time, and I was training to get initiated, and it was a very difficult training pathway, very fulfilling but very difficult. A lot of meditations were taught to us before we would actually be eligible for the Kriya Yoga initiation. A lot of those meditations were related to turning your eyeballs up and closing your eyes. When you turn your eyeballs up, this was said by Dr. Marissa Peer on the show. She said that when you turn your eyeballs up, it's like it switches your gears of your brain, I believe, into what she called the gamma state or the theta state. I can't remember. The brain has 4 states of vibration: alpha, beta, gamma, theta. Am I right?
Yes, that's how your electrical responses are.
Okay. So whichever one of those states is related to spiritual sensibility,
Yes.
visualization,
Yes.
that is what is switched on when you turn your eyeballs up.
You have to be in that meditative state. If you are in that state, one of the states of beta or theta or gamma state of things, where your vibrations are of the highest order, then you are able to receive a lot of this is what a lot of scientists used to do. Many of the scientists in the past used to be in that state. They used to have a book and paper when they're sleeping, and they get up, suddenly they visualize something, so that otherwise they forget. They had that capacity to get up and draw it. And they say the one of the benzene ring, which is the chemical component of benzene, which is, and the scientist who discovered, had a lot of challenges to find what is the composition of how the chemical composition of it should be, the structure. So it says that he was in this state where he saw a snake eating its own tail, and he got up and he found that benzene ring structure. When you go into that meditative state of living, a lot of your questions gets answered.
Yeah. For me as a podcast host, because I get to talk to so many subject experts, whenever I find something overlapping between two subject experts I'm really enjoying speaking to, that's when I know that it's probably pointing towards truth.
Yes.
So this visualization thing has been spoken about by Dr. Sid Warrior in the brain. He said that that's actually something you can develop.
Yes.
Dr. Marissa Peer spoke about this turning your eyes upward.
Yes.
Dr. Alok spoke about the different states of the brain and how there is this meditative state.
Yes.
You're the fourth subject expert who I'm enjoying talking to, who's saying the exact same thing. Just for better clarity, I'm actually going to pull up that Marissa Peer conversation to just recap a bit.
Well, there's alpha, beta, delta, and theta. So there's 4 brain waves.
Okay. Please teach us.
Well, alpha is the good one because it's the one where you can program the brain to change. So, for instance, if you had a fear of birds, when you go into an alpha, something quite magical happens in that not only can you program the brain to think birds are perfectly normal, and to be so, for instance, I was working with a girl last week who has a terror of mice and rats. I said, look, you don't have to like them. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. You don't have to like a rat. I don't like rats, but I can always be indifferent to them. Where could I be? So if I was in Africa, for instance, I was sleeping in this cave and I could hear little rodents running up and down the walls, but I didn't bother me because I could be indifferent. So the alpha brainwave is the brain where you can program.
Alpha state.
Yes.
Give me the medical aspect of what she's saying, sir.
It's just that your muscles are all relaxed. If I really look at it, there's something called the Bell's reflex. When suddenly if something comes into eyes, the eye always rolls up. It is just to protecting reflex. So what happens is evolution has a huge role to play in how all these reflex formed in our body. See, when you go into a deep state of sleep or any kind of like even today called meditation, you don't want the eye to be exposed to chemicals or anything, because that will the cornea is to be protected. That's why we need the lids. When it goes up, she said the white thing is seen. That's the sclera. It's seen because that is not going to be damaged.
I'll share an experience, and anyone who's been a part of YSS or any meditation school will validate this exact experience that I'm going to share. Basically, over time, if you keep meditating every day for 20 to 30 minutes and you focus on turning your eye upwards comfortably, there will be a day, probably after like a week or so, maybe earlier for some people, where in a 20-minute meditation session, if your eye is turned upward, you'll start seeing a circle, which is violet or blue in color, somewhere between violet and blue. Now, in the world of mysticism and meditation, this is what is referred to as the third eye. We are also taught certain theoretical knowledge about this exact type of meditation. As you keep going into deeper meditative states, you start seeing a sharper circle, and then you also see a star inside. I think it's a 6-pointed star. This is an experience that many humans share. Again, I just believe that enough clinical research has not been done about this to publish it as a peer-reviewed study, etc.
Unfortunately, no. But I'm very hopeful that with the advent of functional MRIs, where they are studying a lot of meditative states. In fact, some of the US universities do have a mind-brain research centers, because the mind is different and brain is different. So there is a whole big departments now which is working on exactly what you said. And how do they do it? When you are in the deep state of meditation, they would have put electrodes and they would have done an MRI to see which parts of your brain that's actually lighting up. And they know that, okay, this is where it is lighting up. Now, why is it useful? It's not just about meditation. It's useful because this has a huge role in dementia. They have a huge role in Alzheimer's. You have a huge role in Parkinson's, where you lose cognitive and ability to
Think clearly.
think clearly. So why it is important is, if they are bringing this mind-brain research complex, they may actually help to change a lot of perception
It's
and
effective.
depression.
It's just brain exercise.
Absolutely.
That's what meditation is.
Absolutely. And what it focuses is, what you explained beautifully is the power to connect to your consciousness at the purest form.
What do you think that violet circle and the star is?
It's different form of how you connect to a consciousness in your brain. It's like form you have given it, and each person, everybody may not see the same colors.
Okay.
Everybody may not see the same thing. Like we have given a form to our gods, we have given a form to the each one items have a different form. The form is done so that you are able to focus on it much better.
Yeah.
And the forms, so for example, many people who have extremely strong spiritual meditators do not need any form. They can just go into that state of samadhi just like that, because they don't need. For many of us who are beginners or even early stage, we need a form to connect.
Yeah. Again, I'm trying to approach this conversation from the perspective of the end listeners. If they wish to experience this violet circle, it's simple. You can do it at home. Just keep your back straight. If you need, keep a back rest. Turn your eye upwards comfortably and do any form of meditation that you wish to do. Any kind of om chanting, mantra chanting, whatever mantra is accepted in your own faith. But just turn your eye upwards and focus on that point between your eyebrows.
Pineal glands. That is the glands which is supposed to be, very important in this whole meditations.
Why do you think that is so?
Because, like I said, I mean, everybody has their own hypothesis. It's maybe the ability of you to reach that state of consciousness where you secrete certain neurotransmitters. So, from a chemical angle, what does a pure state of all this do to your body's chemicals? They secrete a lot of good chemical mediators. For example, gabapentin. Then you have the dopamine, serotonin, multiple things. They also suppress the things which actually makes you to become very anxious. So this is proven. The neurotransmitters change with your state of mental well-being.
In medical college, what is taught about the pineal gland?
Medical college do not focus too much about this aspect of it. That's why I said when I started off you being a disruptor, our whole medicine has to be relooked at it every 10 years, because your old uh, concepts is not going to help you with your today's treatments. We have to encourage to do more mind-brain research in our country, and being a country which has taught the world the mind-brain connect. See, if you look at the old forms of medicine, there was a psychological aspect to the medicine, that is healing. You're healing the mind. Your faith is all about healing. If you look at the faith in medicine, it has probably the most powerful element which a lot of us have not understood. During the World War II, there were a lot of anecdotal reports that they ran out of morphine for the wounded soldiers. So somebody said, okay, let's label some bottles as morphine, and they were just water or something they were injecting. They did exactly the same as the pathway worked same as giving morphine, because your mind gets tricked that it is morphine. The component of faith in a practice is something which has to be looked at it. I read this article, full book was it, faith and healing was a thing. And what it said was, why do some fake type of healers do very well? It's because they create a theater of healing. There is a word called theater of healing. Is not just about using a stethoscope. It's about creating. Theater of healing starts with your touch and feel, talking to them, listening to them, and you are a theater.
थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग द क्लिप दोस्तों. मेरा होप यह है कि आप हर हफ्ते इसी चैनल पर लौट आओ, ताकि जितने भी पॉडकास्ट हम अपलोड कर रहे हैं ना, उनका सार आपको इस चैनल पर मिले.